Diddy has confessed to some of his wildest, most shocking secrets on live TV without us even realizing it.
You're gonna hear about my party, they're gonna be shutting them down, they're gonna probably be arresting me, doing all types of crazy things just because we wanna have a good time.
Let me ask you something. I don't know if this is just made up myth or if this is true, but I'm told that when you go to a hotel, anytime you go to a hotel, you don't just check in the way everybody else does. You send someone ahead to prepare the hotel room for you.
It's called preparing the sexy.
I could think of you of starting a party at like midnight. Like what time will it go till?
That's a different type of party though.
Uh-huh.
It'll go from like 9:30 to like maybe 3 o'clock, 2, 3 o'clock. And then, we have the top 2 floors of the hotel. You know?
And then it will carry on there?
Yeah. Then No, I mean the after party.
No, I know about that.
When Diddy said some of these things, we all brushed them off as jokes. But now, with all the explosive allegations against him, we're looking back at these interviews in a whole new light. What's more shocking is that Diddy made these confessions not once, not twice, but multiple times and on different occasions. Here are the 10 most shocking confessions that show Diddy has been snitching on himself for years. Diddy's 1999 prophecy about his arrest. Back in 1999, Diddy was sitting down for an interview with Entertainment Tonight when he started teasing the wild chaos that would follow his notorious parties. Now keep in mind that Diddy's parties were already the talk of the town at this time. Like everyone who was anyone in Hollywood was trying to get in. So naturally, the conversation shifted to his legendary parties, because how could it not? I mean, everyone wanted to know what actually went down at the epic parties, but no one could have expected what Diddy was about to say next. With that cool, confident Diddy vibe, he dropped this bomb.
You're gonna hear about my party, they're gonna be shutting them down, they're gonna probably be arresting me, doing all types of crazy things just because we wanna have a good time.
Hold up. Arresting you? Shutting down the parties? For what, exactly?
Whenever you bring up a different element into people's environment, things that broaden people's horizon, people get intimidated.
You see, at the time Diddy said this, people brushed it off, thinking he was just hyping up his lifestyle, making it sound bigger and badder than it really was. But obviously it was much darker than that. Back in the late 90s, Diddy's white parties were the event to be seen at. If you weren't there, then you simply were a nobody in the entertainment world. Everyone from top-tier celebrities to industry insiders wanted an invite. We're talking about A-list attendees like Beyoncé, Jay-Z, Mariah Carey, and even Hollywood's most prominent actors. You see, Diddy's parties were ultra-glamorous and exclusive events, and people loved to brag about being on the guest list. But here's where things get real interesting. While everyone was so focused on how fab these parties seemed on the surface, we were completely distracted from what might have been going on behind closed doors. Because now, with all these allegations coming out about Diddy's freak-offs at those parties, people are starting to see this 1999 interview in a whole new light. Like, was Diddy low-key warning us? Was he trying to tell us about his darker side while we all laughed it off? It definitely feels like it. This dude dropped some real hints that, back in the day, we just weren't ready to pick up. But now, looking back, with all the evidence and allegations piling up against him, Diddy's 1999 statement about getting arrested feels chillingly prophetic. It was a red flag we all missed. And you know what they say, when someone tells you who they are, believe them. Diddy told us time and time again, but too bad, we weren't just listening. The infamous Conan O'Brien interview. Back in 2002, Diddy went on Conan O'Brien's show and gave what was probably one of the most disturbing party prep tips I've ever heard. He was talking about what makes a good party, and at first, it was all fun and games. All the good stuff that makes a party a party. He said you needed beautiful women, water, alcohols.
We need alcohols.
Right.
Alcohols.
Right. Not just one alcohol.
Alcohols.
Right, just a different blend. You need the ladies, you need the booze.
You need some water.
For watering plants?
No, I don't know if guys have noticed this, like a lot of ladies drink water at parties. They just, so if you don't have what they need, they're gonna leave.
Right.
Gotta keep them there.
But you won't believe what he said next.
You need locks on the doors.
Okay, this is sounding kind of dangerous now.
It's a little kinky, but
Yeah.
Yeah, you heard that right. Locks on the doors. At the time, Conan and every other person watching the show laughed it off like, Diddy was just joking around. But was he really? Because now, knowing what we know about his notorious freak-off parties, that comment is becoming more and more disturbing. I mean, who casually talks about locking people in during a party, especially in the way Diddy said it? It's super sketchy, to be frank, but that's not even the end of it. Diddy also said you needed heat at a party, but not the fun kind of heat, usually from all the highness and dancing at the party. No, Diddy was talking about turning off the air conditioning so everyone would get sweaty and more comfortable.
You need a lot of heat. A lot of heat. Yeah.
Heat. You mean that physically the place has to be hot?
You don't have no air conditioning.
No air conditioning.
No.
Why is that?
Heat affects the alcohol, and it also affects, like, everybody gets a little bit more comfortable and loose. Builds up a nice little sweat.
Like, what? I mean, what kind of a person would get comfortable in such a disgusting condition?
That just sounds disgusting. What are you doing?
Depends on the way you look at it.
Conan might have joked that what Diddy said sounded gross, and yeah, it kinda was. Even Diddy himself laughed over it. But now, with all the allegations about Diddy's parties, we've gotta wonder if he was dropping hints about all the atrocities that were going on in those parties. Maybe he thought he could pass it off as a joke, but with what we know now, it seems more like he was testing how much he could say without people catching on. And honestly, it's kind of creepy to think about what could have been going on behind those locked doors and in that sweaty, air conditioner-free heat. Diddy on how he prepared the sexy in hotel rooms. So in 2004, Diddy returned to Conan O'Brien, and this time he dropped another bombshell. He talked about something he called preparing the sexy. Now, stay with me on this because it gets weird real fast. Basically, Diddy admitted that every time he checks into a hotel, he sends his staff ahead of him to get the room ready, but not just with towels, snacks, and all of those basic stuff you would expect. Diddy said he sends them to make the sexy.
Let me ask you something. I don't know if this is just made up myth or if this is true, but I'm told that when you go to a hotel, anytime you go to a hotel, you don't just check in the way everybody else does. You send someone ahead to prepare the hotel room for you.
It's called preparing the sexy.
Preparing the sexy.
Yeah.
And when Conan asked him what that meant, Diddy talked about candles, mood lighting, and making sure the atmosphere was just right.
What's preparing the sexy?
I mean, when I walk in, I definitely take pride in being the originator of the preparation of the sexy.
Yes.
Yes, and that's candles.
Now, back in 2004, it probably sounded like Diddy was just being his extra bougie self, setting the vibe for when he walks in. But looking at it now, it feels so much more sinister. Because let's be real, this dude wasn't just prepping the room for a chill night of Netflix and candles. We're talking about hotel rooms being stocked with drugs, lubricants, baby oils, and now locks on the door. His staff allegedly helped arrange these wild, out-of-control parties that involved ex-workers, drugs, and all kinds of unspeakable things. So, when Diddy was on TV bragging about making the sexy in the rooms, was he really hinting at the real reasons why he needed those hotel rooms? It's really wild to think that Diddy might have been telling us exactly what he was up to all along, and we just didn't see it. Diddy supports Chris Brown to abuse Rihanna. Okay, so this one went down in 2009 when Diddy appeared on The Ellen Show, and things got awkward real fast. At the time, Chris Brown had just assaulted Rihanna, and everyone was outraged. So when it came out that Chris Brown had been staying at Diddy's house right after the incident, Ellen had to ask Diddy why he let Chris stay with him while he was in the middle of an assault investigation.
You clearly have a lot of people going, why would you do that? Why would you give Chris, a guy who hit a girl and he's jet skiing around in your, I don't understand. Because, I mean, listen, I was a huge fan of Chris's. I love his music. He's a talented guy. But to hit a girl.
Now Diddy was clearly caught off guard, but he tried to play it cool. He basically got defensive by saying it was his house and he was allowed to have whoever he wanted, which is right, by the way.
Yeah, because I know both of them, and it's my house. And I'm allowed to give my house to whoever I want to give my house to. That's number one.
Then, he went on to say that he doesn't judge people and that he was just trying to be there for Chris as a friend.
Number two is that I'm the type of person that I don't cast a stone or cast a judgment on anybody. And so if a friend or friends ask me for a favor, then I'm gonna be there for a favor as long as I know that the energy of the favor is positive for two people to sit down and talk about a situation that they're in.
At the time, Diddy's response seemed like he was trying to stay neutral and not get involved in the couple's drama.
I'm not gonna get involved in it. I'm not gonna pass judgment on it. If I could be there as a friend during hard times, then I'm gonna be there as a friend.
Right.
But I don't know the exact particulars. I didn't get into it. I'm not gonna do this or do that. It's a dark time for them, and I was there more as a support.
But hold on a second. Was he really just being a friend? Or was this another one of those instances where he was a little too comfortable with abusive behavior? That was the question Ellen needed Diddy to answer, and here's what he had to say.
No, but you all put me in it. So I'm gonna speak on it. I don't think that it's right for anybody to hit anybody at the end of the day, you know. And I don't think it's right. You know, I think that we all have to be honest with ourselves as adults. And people have been in relationships, you know. We know sometimes those relationships get ugly, you know, and sometimes it doesn't come out into the forefront the way this one has come out. And it's a lot of stones being thrown, and we don't know exactly what's going on. These are two young individuals. We need to pray for them, and we need to give certain support, but you don't need to start just saying that you know something that you don't know.
You see, what makes this moment so cringe now is that Diddy's own history with ex-girlfriend Cassie Ventura was about to come to light. Years later, Cassie would reveal that Diddy repeatedly abused her, and she even filed a lawsuit against him, which he quickly settled. So, looking back now, it feels like Diddy wasn't just supporting Chris Brown. He might have been covering up his own issues with abuse because he saw a little too much of himself in that situation. Diddy's confession about his freak-off party on Ellen. This one is from another memorable moment on The Ellen Show, where Diddy dropped some hints about his famous after-parties. So Diddy was chatting with Ellen about his birthday party plans for 2009, and of course, Ellen was curious to learn about the details.
So tell me about your birthday party. Am I invited?
Yes, you're definitely invited. I invite you to all my parties, you just haven't seemed to show up.
No, well, is it on the East Coast?
Yes.
Well, that's why. Why don't you have one here on the West Coast? Because I work all the time.
Okay, well, maybe I have one at your house.
Where's that?
She asked him what time his party would start, and he said it would kick off around 9:30, which Ellen thought was quite early.
Now, what time would your party start, let's say?
Like 9:30.
Really? That early?
Yeah.
I could make that.
Yeah.
But it gets more interesting as Diddy casually mentions that after the main party, there would be an after party, which he called a different kind of party.
But I could think of you of starting a party at like midnight. Like, what time will it go till?
That's a different type of party, though.
Uh-huh.
It'll go from like 9:30 to like maybe 3 o'clock, 3 o'clock.
Ellen, being Ellen, pressed him for more details, and Diddy explained that this after party would go way into the early hours of the morning, taking over the entire top 2 floors of the hotel.
And then, you know, we have the top 2 floors of the hotel.
And then it will carry on there?
Yeah. Then the after party.
No, I know about them.
The way Diddy described it, people are now saying this wasn't just your typical celebrity after party. It sounded like a more exclusive, behind closed doors situation, and not everyone was invited to. And the fact that he even differentiated between the main party and this different kind of party just tells you everything you need to know. Diddy's suspicious shout out to Cassie at the 2022 BET Award speech. Now this one had everyone talking, y'all. So, at the 2022 BET Awards, Diddy got up on stage to give this big emotional speech, right? He thanked a bunch of people, like his chief of staff and even Bishop T.D. Jakes. But then, he threw in a shout-out that no one saw coming.
And also Cassie for holding me down in the dark times. Love.
Wait, hold up. Dark times? What exactly was Diddy talking about? Because at that point, Cassie had already left him, and we all know now that she was dealing with some pretty dark stuff herself. Cassie later revealed in a lawsuit that Diddy abused her for years, forced her into some disturbing situations, and was controlling her life. So, was Diddy low-key confessing right there on stage? It kinda sounds like it. The internet blew up after that speech because no one really knew what dark times Diddy was referring to. Was he talking about his own struggles? Or was he referring to the years when he was allegedly abusing and controlling Cassie? And keep in mind, Cassie's lawsuit wasn't just about emotional abuse. She accused Diddy of physical violence trafficking, and some seriously disturbing behavior. Surprisingly, Diddy settled that lawsuit with Cassie within 24 hours. He didn't fight it, didn't drag it out in court, just boom, and it was over. That just tells you that Diddy did everything he was accused of doing in that lawsuit, and he didn't just want to wash his dirty linens in public. So people are now saying that this BET Awards speech was just Diddy trying to clear his conscience or show some fake appreciation for Cassie after putting her through so much. The Breakfast Club bombshell. While on The Breakfast Club with Charlemagne the God in 2022, Diddy said something that raised many eyebrows.
Play some. Hey, yo, listen, yo, I love it all. I love it all, man. I like when you like this, Daddy.
Yeah, where you put my bag?
Daddy, I like when you scrambling and scraping for shit.
He straight up confessed that he had never been a good boyfriend in his past relationships. He even said he always wanted a girlfriend, but also had girls on the side. But here's where things get even more interesting. Diddy followed up by saying you can't keep playing with people's hearts and that he had a lot of growing up to do, making it look like he was going to retrace his steps. But let's not forget what this means for his past relationships, especially the one with Jennifer Lopez. Remember that Diddy was dating Lopez back in the early 2000s, and she's been super open about why they broke up, because he was not faithful to her. So this confession on The Breakfast Club really lines up with what we already knew, but hearing him casually say it, that's a whole new level of narcissism. Interestingly, Diddy tried to make it sound like he's learned from his mistakes, but with everything going on now, it makes you wonder if he ever really stopped playing with people's hearts. So yeah, Diddy literally confessed to being a player in that Breakfast Club appearance, but it still feels like there's a lot more he didn't talk about. Diddy's multiple round lovemaking vibe session. In 2023, Diddy made another appearance in Breakfast Club. This time, he was just there to promote his Love album, but within just a few minutes, things started heating up as usual. In the middle of the conversation, Diddy started talking about his love life and mentioned that he was into multiple round lovemaking vibe sessions. If this were still 2023, maybe this would have sounded like Diddy just being extra freaky, like, okay, we get it, you're romantic or whatever, but that won't fly in 2024. Not with everything we know now about his notorious freak-off parties. Looking back at that statement now, it starts to feel like Diddy might have been hinting at something a lot darker. I mean, this wasn't just someone trying to be a little more freaky in an interview. It was starting to sound like a confession about those intense and questionable private parties. Remember that Cassie's lawsuit against him was filled with disturbing details about how Diddy forced her into some unspeakable wild romantic situations. And now, these multiple round sessions Diddy mentioned could definitely be a reference to the freak-offs that we're now hearing so much about. Diddy threatens Wendy Williams. So, back in 2017, Diddy was on the Wendy Williams show, and things got out of hand really fast. Now, we all know the tension between Wendy and Diddy goes way back to the 90s. She even blamed him for getting her fired from her radio show after she allegedly exposed some rumors about him back in the day. But here's where it gets interesting. During this particular interview, Diddy complimented Wendy's son, saying how he had met the young man backstage and how great he was. And y'all, Wendy froze.
As the mother of a now 16-year-old.
Mm-hmm. Who I met backstage,
He did?
He's a great young man.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
You represent a lot.
I can bet that wasn't what she wanted to say. You could tell she was caught off guard, and there was this super awkward pause before she forced out those words. Now, people are wondering if Diddy low-key threatening Wendy by saying he had met her son backstage. Like, was he reminding her of the power he still has? Because, let's not forget, Wendy has openly accused Diddy of sending people to intimidate her in the past, even saying that he sent a girl group to attack her outside her radio station back in the 90s. You see, Diddy has been known to throw his weight around in the industry, and Wendy has been talking about him for decades. So when he talked about her son like that, it was like the tension in the room went from 0 to 100 within seconds. But Wendy, being Wendy, tried to cover up how shocked she visibly was. But that little stumble in her words said everything she wasn't saying at that moment. So people are now saying that Diddy might have been flexing his influence right there on live television, subtly reminding Wendy not to ever cross him again. Diddy wanted to party with Prince Harry and Prince Williams. This one takes us way back to 2011 when Diddy was on the Graham Norton show. And y'all, he said something that really got people talking. During the interview, Diddy acknowledged to have wanted to party with none other than Prince Harry and Prince William.
I do worry because I read that on your that you want to get Prince William and Prince Harry to a Diddy party.
I don't think, not anymore. I mean, before, you know.
Yeah, don't ruin our royal wedding for us.
Trust me, they're off the list. As of now, they're off the list. But you know, before, when they were young bucks growing up, and they were getting in a lot of trouble themselves. So hey, I was like, why don't you come hang out with me?
The truth is, Diddy could have been joking in that clip, but let's be real. The fact that he even mentioned it at all had people wondering if he was low-key serious about getting the royal brothers caught up in his freaky world. You know, Diddy may have reserved some of them baby oils to oil up the royal brothers if they had shown up at his parties. Please feel free to share your thoughts in the comments, and if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more content like this. Thank you for watching. Until next time, stay safe.